I'm basically first generation. My father came here when he was in his late 20s from southern Italy, a little village called Campana. And my mother's family, her older siblings were born in southern Italy as well. Her father moved here, worked in the coal mines, and when he made enough money, he brought over the family, and subsequently my mother was born. She's the baby of 5. When she was 6, her father, unfortunately, my grandfather, was killed in a coal mine cave-in. And my grandmother was left with a bunch of kids, some older, and my mother the youngest. As an immigrant, not knowing how to really speak English that well, to continue on. There are psychological scars, emotional scars still to this day that all of us, the descendants, still, I think, are affected by. My father, he was not a coal miner. He came to the United States as a shoemaker, where he was able to establish his own shoemaker shop in Dunmore, and it was there for years, Nick's Shoe Repair. You know, it's kind of one of the many iconic places in Dunmore on the top of Drinker Street. And they put 3 kids through college, myself, my sister, my brother. I'm named after my grandfather, my paternal grandfather, Lorenzo. But my parents didn't want to give me that name because it was too ethnic. So I became Larry. But when my parents were coming up, you wanted to be looked at as American. The whole idea of melting pot, I don't personally like that idea. I like more multiculturalism, keeping everything, all the diversity there, but it all blending and coexisting, like any great ecosystem. The healthiest ecosystems are very diverse, but those that are not, they're not resilient. I was born in Scranton, as one of the hospitals in Scranton. I don't remember which one. But I was raised in Dunmore, way on the top of Drinker Street. We were one of the few Italian families at first up there. And, it was a great neighborhood. And we'd hang out at all these places and just talk to everybody in the neighborhood. I did that all the time. And I learned so much. After I graduated high school, I moved away to college. I went to a couple different colleges, and then finally I came back, went to Vermont Law School, and studied environmental law and policy up in South Royalton, Vermont. And then I came back here, and I made a cold call to Lackawanna College about maybe starting a mathematics lab, because my engineering background, And they hired me on a grant for a year, back in like '94, I think it was. And then a couple years later, position opened in the faculty, math professor position. I applied and I got it, and I've been there ever since. The senior most professor at Lackawanna College, which doesn't mean I'm the oldest. It means I've been there the longest. I've been there from those early days, watching it rebuild itself, Lackawanna College. It's got a long history. It's been here since the 1800s. The thing I like about Lackawanna College the most are my colleagues and the student demographic, I think is a good word, because it reminds me where I come from. Most of the folks that come through our doors are working class or blue collar in origin. And if you know their story, what they had to deal with, and then they get here and they didn't have a good educational experience, the community they came from had a lot of dysfunction going on. And now all of a sudden, you see them just blossom because they're given an opportunity to have some peace, to have some structure, and have access to education. And we're a part of that. I'm a little part of that, a little bit. That makes me happy. That makes me proud. The arts community always, made me feel inspired and welcome. Arts and cultural events, and there's a lot of them here going on here. There always are. We used to have this festival we worked on with the AFA Gallery way back. It was called Art in the Post-Melting Pot Era, and it was like a diversity art festival. We also had the Oh Yes Community Fest. People like John Legend performed before he was John Legend there. He was with the Bethlehem Choir, Johnny Stevens and Tara Michelle Watkins. So many talented people, so many good people, and so many places to hang out with them. And even those that aren't artists, there are a lot of philosophers in this valley. There really are. I used to go to the bog a lot too, back in, in the day before I had children, or my children were really young, and I'd get out, not to get drunk on booze, but to get drunk on ideas. There were a couple of print magazines. The late Stephen Scalise started, Ergo in particular, and I started doing interviews for that magazine. I went into television because we started a public access channel. Scranton Tomorrow did, and I was involved with Scranton Tomorrow. And one of our projects was, let's start a program where we bring people together to talk. And the first program was called Let's Talk People. And I started a new show called Stories, Wisdom, and Recipes, where it was just myself interviewing all kinds of people, scientists, artists, activists, and I bring in musicians too. And I also have a radio show. I've had a couple of those. People here, I think, are innately intelligent. Everybody has got different levels of education, but the level of intelligence that I've come across and openness in many ways is pretty impressive to me and pretty inspiring to me. At one point, for my radio show, I interview Maureen Mayer-Gray, who is the founder and executive director of the NEPA Youth Shelter. What we have in this city, as many cities have, are a large number of young people. A lot of them are on the street, or they don't have healthy home lives. And one of the main reasons is because they are LGBTQ, and they're kind of ostracized. And Maureen saw that. She saw the stats. She saw that there wasn't really a place for them to feel safe and to feel welcome. So she started the youth shelter. And I've been on the board ever since. And that's a great group of people, that board, and the young people that you meet there. Wonderful, wonderful people. Well, our city of Scranton and all of northeastern Pennsylvania, I think, is transforming to a certain extent. And I think that's wonderful. We have a lot of infrastructure here, a lot of homes here. We have room for people, and we need people to come here. It just breathes new energy and life and new culture into a city, which is so healthy, and exhilarating. So I hope our city embraces all of that, looks at it as a plus, and I think we have. Being a citizen of the United States of America means justice, it means acceptance, it means opportunity for everybody, and finding a way to make that real. I think the root of a lot of division comes from religion. And I'm not saying religion's bad. Spirituality is important. But if it comes in the guise of you're no good because of the way you live your life, but it doesn't fit what I think based on what my religion tells me, that's a problem in our country. If we're going to be a free society, we can't get caught up in that, just as we can't get caught up in partisan politics. Easier said than done, all of this is. I have no solutions. Some of the great people from Scranton, Jane Jacobs, right? Let's follow her a little bit. She knows what it's all about when it comes to community. And that diversity of culture, of language, of worship, whatever people need to do, is all together, not separated.